Just make sure. Okay. Good morning. Good evening. Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar. We have a special guest, Shiaz, and I'm really excited to have this session because, somebody who's as experienced as Shiaz is very hard to find. So thank you so much, Shiaz, for joining our session today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, just a quick rundown how we are planning this session. Most of you should be able to join the session. You should be able to sort of ask questions. We have a moderator, and the session moderator would send us the questions, and we can answer them at the end of at the end of our conversation. So, we're planning to have this more of a conversation, so that it doesn't seem like a class or a webinar. We're not being very very, how do you say, very formalized in the sense. So I hope everybody can sort of participate, and looking forward to your questions. All right. Shreyas, should we get started if you're okay?
Sure. Can you hear me and see me okay? Or?
Yeah, I mean, you sound perfect. Yeah, I hope I am also fine.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So, I think for our audience, I would definitely like you to have a quick introduction about yourselves and your background, because that would be a great way to sort of start the session.
Sure. Sounds good. First of all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, based on wherever you are. My name is Shias Pudevrel. I'm based out of a city called Bloomington, Illinois. I'm currently working as a director of Salesforce architecture in a multinational company. I've been in the IT industry for past, I think, more than 15 years now. Throughout my career, I got chances to work with uh, big and large companies like IBM, Accenture, Capgemini, and all. I was primarily focusing on Salesforce CRM, the cloud computing, and architectural solutions. I'm happy to share some of my knowledge and experience with you guys, and answer some of your questions. I hope that would be beneficial. That's pretty much
Awesome,
about myself.
awesome. Uh, Shreyas, if you don't mind giving a little bit of a background about your education, because a lot of people here are in the midst of graduating, and just to have a quick understanding.
Sure. I do have a master's and bachelor's degree in computer applications.
Nice.
Uh, that's how I started in a basic IT knowledge. But I would say more than that, I learned from the experience or trainings which I got throughout my career.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's a very important point. Like, if you want to enter the software industry, a lot of people have this preconceived notion that you have to be somebody from the technical background. If you do a stats, I would say more than 75% of the people who sort of end up and have a long career in the industry are not essentially from technical background. So that's a very unique viewpoint if you look at how the software industry is.
I,
So I'm
I
glad. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm lucky to have the computer application background, but it's not about the background what you have.
Yeah.
Because most probably during the academic field, you might not be in a position to choose what should be your area.
Mm-hmm.
More based on your interest.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So today's topic was about CRMs. I would like not to go very deep into CRMs because I think that would itself take one session, of its own. But just a quick introduction of what is a CRM, and that would be nice.
Sure. So I know. Even I don't want to go too in depth because it's a too wide topic. But at least I'll try my level best to give you guys a brief overview about what is CRM.
Mm-hmm.
So before talking about CRM, I would like to start with the customer. How customer is CRM come to picture. The tagline of this event itself is meet a customer, and in most of the cases, if you meet a customer and treat them very well, the sales will happen by its own. You don't have to chase and hunt for sale, I would say. Every business should understand how important a customer is. You cannot find an industry without a customer. As a key player, think about any examples: hospitals, banks, restaurants, retail shop, even a small street seller, right? Everywhere, customer play a key role.
Yeah.
And customer is always a direct reflection of the revenue the business makes. If we can keep a customer happy, I mean, it makes a big difference in any business or any industry. So in order to make the customer relationship well, the companies need a system or technology. In short, that is what is CRM. So CRM is a technology for managing all your company's relations and interactions with the customer and even potential customers because you don't know whether this is a potential customer or not.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the advantages of CRM and how CRM helps the business too. And please feel free to stop me and ask questions.
Sure.
So first of all, the CRM helps the business to find out the right customer for you because think about any. Let's take some examples, right? I mean, think about a bank account. You cannot sell that for a 5-year-old child, kid, right? And so
Yeah.
there's no point in trying to reach out to a 5-year-old kid for a business account, right?
Yeah.
And manage effective customer communications. So, I mean, uh, sometimes you don't know how many times you are reaching out to a customer who already showed that, I mean, they are not interested on. Right? That will spoil your future customer relationship and provide excellent customer support or service, right? I mean, the way how they are looking for and keeping the customers for longer relationship. Always, we have learned this many times, right? I mean, keeping a customer for a long relationship would be much beneficial than finding out a new customer and gather the feedback and make improvements, right? You have to always listen to the customer as well because uh, the nowadays it's kind of a competitive world. You have so many products, so many services available with many other companies. So you have to always listen to the customer and find out what they are looking for, and then make improvisation on your own end, right? Or innovations. So CRM goes through those process, or that's the beneficial of CRM. And just to, I mean, like again, I don't want to go too in depth,
Mm-hmm.
but just to give the core five CRM concepts. I mean, I'll walk you through with just five main concepts on CRM, and I have drawn something on the whiteboard as just get a feel of it, what it is, right? So
Yeah.
I'll talk about five topics in CRM. First of all, lead. I mean, let me say what it is, right? I mean, lead, account, contact, opportunity, and lead conversion. I'll
Mm-hmm.
just give a very brief idea about what it is. So, lead can be a company or an individual who expressed an interest in your company or a product or service. So, think about Manu, you have a company which probably provides support services.
Yeah.
So, lead is someone who expressed an interest. Hey, Manu, how about how much you charge for this service? So, that means you are a lead. You
Yeah.
showed an interest, but you are not a customer yet.
Mm-hmm.
In CRM, lead is always the starting point of a customer.
I see.
And account is an organization or household that doing business with. So it
Okay.
could be a company. I mean, think about Manu, you are working for Archie's Academy, just as an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Archie's Academy is the account.
Yeah. Yeah.
And contact are the people works for that company. So normally an account will have multiple contacts associated with. For example, you might be one of the contacts under Archie's Academy. Taufik might be another contacts under account.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one is opportunity. Opportunity is a potential sale or deal generate revenue for the company. So that's the key revenue generating item, right? I mean, that's how the company will get money. It could be a product or a service, whatever your company sells. So CRM tools can help to track, manage, and organize all this information and activities related to the opportunity and customer, so that the sales team or sales people can focus more on okay what the customer is looking for and sell the right products. And the last but not least, the lead conversion. So lead conversion is essentially a qualifying lead or converting the lead to an account, contact, or an opportunity based on the need and based on some criteria. Like I was saying, it might not make sense to sell a 5-year-old kid a bank account, right? They cannot open until based on the countries. Most of the countries have a 18 or 16-year-old limitation where you cannot open that account, right? So first of all, even though you showed an interest, there is a you have to go through a qualification process to identify whether you can be a customer or not. And each organization have its own criteria to qualify. And I mean, probably I can just walk you through with an example if that is okay, right? I mean, with this.
Oh yeah, that would be wonderful. Yeah, I think
So,
whiteboard sessions are always fun.
uh, can you see this okay or?
It looks good to me. I think everybody should also be able to see it. Yeah.
Let's take an example, right? Think about you works for Archi's Academy,
Yeah.
and I run a bank, or I'm
Okay.
an agent in a bank.
Sure.
So when you go to my bank's account, for example, at bankofamerica.com,
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing a promotional offer as, oh, you start a business account, we'll give you $100 credit as an offer.
I see.
So that could be a campaign and promotional offer, right? The moment you click on that, and then you may have to enter some basic information, which is your name, email address, such as the moment you submit that form,
Mm-hmm.
you
Oh, okay. Okay.
in my bank system,
I see.
my bank CRM system. Back office in or sales team from the banking side, I have to validate this lead, right? And I have to check, is Manu qualified for this account?
Yeah.
That's the lead qualification process. I have to go through and okay, probably I may have to contact you to gather a little more information, but based on that, I'll make a judgment call. Okay, can I sell the product to money, or even this business account is the right product for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's think about everything goes well, you qualified. So as a salesperson, I'll be converting this lead to 3 items. The account will be the organization which you are trying to this with, which is you are representing Archie's Academy and you are planning to open an account for Archie's Academy. So the account will be the Archie's Academy.
I see.
And you are the contact who contacted us, right? Or you are one of the contact we are dealing with. So Manu will become the contact in CRM system.
I see.
There could be additional contacts as well, like guys mentioned. And the opportunity is the real money generating item, which is the business account in this example.
I see.
So even though you've been converted to contact and account, it's not really necessary that we should be able to close this opportunity. But in CRM system, it's already been added as a new opportunity that have to go through a couple of additional processes. Think about selling a business account from me to you. We have to evaluate a little more additional items. I mean, we need to know how much company revenue the company generates. We get some additional documentation. Or even, I'm telling you that it has $300 per year as a fee. So you are deciding whether you need it or not. So if you decide to do the business with us, that means the opportunity is won and we are close to success. Okay. But if you decided, no, I'm not ready yet. We need probably 6 months to make a decision. That means the opportunity is closed without winning that business. But the benefit of CRM is because of you mentioned that I'm interested to do this or open an account after 6 months, that is being CRM. And you can configure CRM in a way that in 6 months, as an agent, I'll get a notification that, hey, it's time to follow up with Manu. Because Manu already expressed an interest to open an account in 6 months. So that's the way how it happens. And there are many industry standard CRM tools in the current time. There are Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, a lot of them. I am focusing, or I'm more towards one of the tool, but that doesn't mean that that's the only one, right? There are a lot of things in the market. Okay. That's about CRM. I'm not sure. Did I said too much in a couple of minutes? But
no. I think this is a very good introduction, especially the fact that these concepts of leads, opportunities, accounts, and contacts, these are not usually spoken about in a software setup. So I'm glad that you could elaborate that.
Yeah, that's I think even though software industry is more towards technology, right? And the business or the process also very important in any business.
Absolutely.
Will help, but technology need it's a combination of people, process, and technology, right?
Yeah.
Let's take even CRM is like the technology will connect the people with, to achieve the correct process.
Yeah, yeah. What you said is right because a lot of times people, as you know, when we start the session, also we said, when people join the software industry, you don't necessarily have to have a very technical background. Plus, there are opportunities for you to know the functional side of technology, which is also very important, and that's how you come up with good software. Yeah,
Yeah. So even if you are too great in a technology perspective, you think
yeah,
about you are the technical the best person, right, to do any other technology. But
yeah.
unless you can understand what exactly the business scenario is or the
Mm-hmm.
process you're trying to achieve, you might not be able to get the result.
Sure, sure. So I'm just curious, how was your entry into the CRM field? Was that something which you pre-planned or was this more accidental?
Yeah, I mean, I never planned. I'm a core technical person. So I
I see.
started my career 15 years ago as a Java developer, and
Okay.
then getting more and more experience. Then I started leading a lot of projects.
Mm-hmm.
Then I realized that the importance of customer. I mean, I was working with various clients in various industries.
Mm-hmm.
One common, I would say, one and only common factor which I could find out is a customer, and
Okay.
customer is important everywhere.
Yeah.
And accidentally, I would say I started some integrations with one of the leading CRM to Salesforce, and that gave me an opportunity to see what it is. But
Okay.
that gave me a kind of a quick peek, right? I mean, but then from that point, I was trying to learn more about it. I was going through a lot of process to get into that, and then I made a decision that okay, I think this is the one of the good industry and technology and process. So I started focusing more there.
I see. So based on your experience, I'm pretty sure you've also interacted with other people who have entered the CRM field.
Mhm.
Is the process usually like this, where you can either learn about CRM and then start working on it, or is it something more like
So,
you get involved in projects and stuff?
I would highly recommend that don't start in CRM like complete blank, right? I mean,
Okay.
try to. There are a lot of CRM tools. So I mean,
Yeah.
if you start your career with one of this one CRM tool, you probably will get stuck with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would highly recommend to build the basic foundation first.
Okay.
Get the basic knowledge, or what is an IT industry is, what are the different roles, what is well with your interest, right? And then try to understand a couple of scenarios, and then look into the CRM tools or yeah, CRM concepts, so that you will get a little more context. And even tomorrow, if you want to switch from one CRM tool to another, which obvious today there are a lot of options, right?
Mm-hmm.
That will become easy for you. Otherwise, if you start your career in a CRM tool, you might be knowing only that particular tool. I mean, you might not
I
be,
see. Okay.
if you really want to switch, you might get stuck there. So, and there are a ton of trainings or materials available to learn, or even there are a lot of training providers. But getting a practical experience would make you better in technology, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if it is if it is a training where you can do a lot of practical as well, that would be really helpful. And that's how that's my view on this.
Yeah. I mean, what you said is right. At Archi's Academy, uh, we have a saying that we don't teach you the tools, we teach you the frameworks. Because, as you said, the tools can change. But if you have a framework and a point of reference and an understanding of how the technology works, that's more helpful in the long run. And I completely agree with you that,
Yeah.
somebody who's, yeah, sorry.
So in my personal experience, right? I mean, like I said, I started with Java.
Yeah.
So because of I have the, I'm not saying that everybody should start with Java, right? But I'm just as an example. Because of I am thorough on that concept, it made me very easy to learn any other new tools or language because of
Yeah.
the core concept is same. So focus on the concept, get the foundation. Don't get stuck in one particular technology, right? I mean, just
Yeah.
make it a little more flexible.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. That's absolutely wonderful. Okay. So let's get into some areas that you have a lot of experience in, especially your career. You've been working in the industry. You said about 15 years. That's itself quite a big achievement because software professionals usually sometimes they don't have that long of a career, especially with such reputable companies. So, how what do you think was important in in sustaining your career? Because I think that's usually a problem that a lot of people face when you enter a career, when you start working on some areas, you sort of feel a little burnout, and then you don't have a way to sort of improve yourself. So, what do you think helped you actually in your career?
Sure. So that's a really good question, right? Because I mean, definitely we are seeing that a lot,
Yeah.
especially. So at least from my personal experience, I started with very small. I mean, when I say very small, I started my career with a very small company.
Mm-hmm.
My focus was in to get highly paid or get the best dream company in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. My focus was to understand how this works, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then make a plan. I mean, don't make a plan and then jump. I mean, definitely making a plan is good, but I'm saying finalize your area of interest before you even see that industry or area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Start with the foundation. Start with a small. I mean, if you get a big one in the beginning, that's good, but try to learn more than try to earn more, right?
Yeah.
And once you get the basic knowledge, you can make a decision. I mean, you can
Mm-hmm.
find your sweet spot. You can figure it where you are good at, right? Sometimes I have seen some people may start as a developer, or some may start as a tester, but that might not be their best area of interest, right? But just
Yeah.
because of they started on that, they stuck on that.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry. I mean, even if you want to change the technology, even if you want to try out something, that's okay. I mean, I would say you're not going to lose anything. If you are learning a new technology,
Mm-hmm.
that's fine. I mean, even if it is not going well, that's okay. I mean, I had that problem in the beginning. I mean, even though I had well experience in Java, but when the CRM came to picture, I was a bit of confused. I mean, I was thinking, should I leave the technology where I was working for 7 years
Mm-hmm.
and then go for completely new because according to the new technology, I might be a beginner, right?
Yeah.
So that gave me a lot of confusion. What should I do? But I decided to give a try and then
Mm-hmm.
make it. Right? I mean, if it is not working well, that's fine. But and that ended very well, right? So I would say keep learning. I think that's what, and try out new things. That's okay. I mean, more than the technology, try to figure it out the role or the area which we want to focus. Do you want to focus on the development or management or business analysis? There are a lot of options.
Yeah.
Think about.
Yeah. So when you switched, you said you switched technology stacks. What were some of the training opportunities that you got? Because that's also important in furthering your career.
So, while you're switching or starting in a new technology, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you might have limitations on what you can learn, right? I
Yeah.
mean, think about from tomorrow onwards, I've been put in a new technology. Definitely, I'm willing to learn. So, I mean, I can learn, but it takes a lot of time for me to get to.
Yeah.
So, if I am starting without any training, or without any support in terms of learning things, right? It's gonna take probably an year or more to get the complete picture. But if you start that, when you make a decision, okay, I want to learn this particular technology. If you go through some trainings, especially well-organized trainings, right? And I know archies do that as well. Uh, that give you an overall picture. That covers a lot. Even though you might not be able to digest all, but later when you start working on that technology, you can easily recollect. Oh, okay, this is what I learned that day from archies, right? That makes you better
Mm-hmm.
than you are in a situation and then you are googling or doing research for a couple of days to figure out something and then you are realizing, oh, this is how it is, right? So
Yeah.
I think training's always even for the CRM or the Salesforce technology. I mean, until I was attending my first training, I wasn't sure whether I really have to go for the technology or not. But because the trainers always know, a good trainers always know that, I mean, what to cover on that training. That will give you from top to bottom about that. Even though you are not gonna remember everything, but you will get the concept. You will get an idea about what that tool is, what that technology is. So that helped me a lot. just to, I mean, not to sell myself, but just to give you a picture on how much I value on this trainings and certifications. I mean, I started learning say each of Salesforce CRM technologies and then tools and applications. And I have around 14 certifications in Salesforce,
Wow.
which I which I achieved through either in-person trainings or
Uh-huh.
online trainings. Uh, that's the way how. I mean, especially nowadays, the technology is getting evolved on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Things are getting added. So unless you are ready to learn, right, it's very hard to be up to date. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I always consider training as an investment myself
Mm-hmm.
than as an expense, I would say.
Yeah. That's a very very valid point, which is when you start training, when you invest yourselves in getting good mentors, that's a very good career growth opportunity for you, because you also get to train, learn new things, as well as you get mentors who are there for you, eventually in the long run of your career. So I think a lot of people really undervalue the importance of having a good mentor. I think that's very important in the modern era. We should always look for people who are in the right space that you want to get into. So I think that's a very good advice. Thank you so much. So I believe COVID has changed the way that everybody's working. We are basically a remote, what do you call, a remote world right now. So what are some of the changes that you've noticed while you're working remotely? Like, does it change the way that you had to interact with your colleagues? Was that like a fundamental change or a drastic change for you?
So, to be very honest, that didn't change it for me. My mode of working.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working remote for past 10 years.
Oh, interesting.
Various companies. Yeah, I do travel whenever there is an important client meeting or something, but
Yeah.
90% of the time I do work remote. But I notice a lot of differences in nowadays as well, right? Because um, when I was working remote for past 9 years,
Mm-hmm.
most of the people around me might not be working on that. So I have seen, I'm used with that mode,
Mm-hmm.
but the initial challenges, I would say, what I have seen, probably some, you might not have the personal connections or personal interactions like what you have when you're working in office versus working. And you may end up on working extended hours sometimes. So you have to decide how do you manage your own. But because of most of everyone are remote nowadays, right? I think that culture is getting changed a little bit.
Yeah.
So about the personal connections. I mean, we do develop within my team. I have couple of teams with me. So we do manage a lot of kind of a casual discussions or
I
I
see.
would non-work related personal chats sometimes to make sure that at least we are engaged. We are not discussing just about the work, right?
Yeah.
So I think the entire world is changing in that. And working hours, extended working hours is based on individuals' mode of working. Right? I mean, you have to plan your time well. One of the problem which I have seen with others or even with me sometimes, because of we are working from home,
Mm-hmm.
you might not have a definite time of office hours.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You need
definitely,
to
yeah,
be sitting in front of laptop for it.
yeah,
Which to me it's more about your own personal time management. I think it's better to have a fixed timing for your work. That way you can be more productive on that time slot
mm-hmm.
and just extending and then doing different.
Yeah. I have come to the realization that Zoom and Chrome are my best friends during the pandemic, because we are always in those worlds. We are not basically getting out. So yeah, fair point. So I think one thing that you have seen in the industry is probably a lot of shift, in terms of technology, in terms of uh, ideas and concepts and things like that. So there are a lot of new interesting technologies like blockchain, AI, machine learning. So in your experience, what are some of the exciting areas that people can actually look forward to in the industry right now?
Sure. So I'm not talking about anything super new, but I
Yeah.
would say two area which, in my personal opinion, I have noticed. Definitely, cloud is something is hot topic now. So I would say
Mm-hmm.
three items I would say. So anything related to cloud, right? I mean, because earlier there was a perception that oh yeah, I mean, cloud means it's somebody else. I mean, there is a saying, right? I mean, there is nothing as a cloud computing.
Yeah.
Cloud is somebody else's laptop or
Yeah.
computer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
But that's a true statement though. But that concept being changed. I think nowadays all the companies are going for everything cloud. So just because of cloud, don't ever think that, oh, I mean, companies might not go with that, right? No,
Mm-hmm.
that's even if you are already experienced or you know some tools and technology, uh, try to identify a cloud product for that and try to learn about that. That's just a generic statement. And two other areas which I have seen growing rapidly. I mean, one is RPA, robotic process automation, which is
Okay.
replacing a lot of tedious task and processes and
Mm-hmm.
multiple complex processes with one automation. That's one of the area which I started. I'm seeing that it's growing rapidly nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
and anything related to data, right? Anything related to data. That's
Mm-hmm.
a hot take at any point of time. I mean, if you are taking about if you are talking about any tools or any technology, any application, I would say 10 years before and now, right? I mean, even though they don't know what they're going to do with the data, but they're still capturing the data, right? Because the data analysis, data mining, data science, that has like an unlimited possibility. So I would say that that's one of the area I would always recommend to look because that have that's not going to end at any point. I mean, there will be a lot of opportunities on that.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually very good to hear from you because I've also been hearing a lot about the importance of data and how data is going to be the new sort of currency for the future. Where people would be, if you have data, you are valuable. So yeah, that makes sense. Um, okay, so we've talked about a lot of things about your career and things like that. But if you had to give advice to yourselves when you started your career, or basically somebody who's starting in the industry, what would that be? Like, what would you advise somebody who's starting in the career in the software industry?
Yeah, so I mean, I think pretty much I covered on the earlier, but I'll just try to say that in a formal way, right? I mean, like I was saying in the beginning, get the foundation first.
Mm-hmm.
Base will to help you throughout the journey. I mean, you never know when you are gonna get a benefit out of it, right? I mean, you're definitely going to have the benefit throughout your.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with the industry, find out your sweet spot because I mean each one may have their own interest, their own skill set, right? So it's okay to choose anything, but better to choose the one which you have more interest. Some
Mm-hmm.
might be really good at designing, right? I mean, some might be really good at programming, some might be on testing or business process, solution engineering, right? So it's so, I mean, like I said, take some time, right? Start working with the opportunity what you have. Look around and try to understand what others doing as well, because if you try to put yourself in a box, you might not be able to get a picture of what's going outside, right? So
Yeah.
always try to get the overall picture, and then if you feel interested on some other somebody else sitting next to you or some other process or technology, right? Try to just try to peek into that and then try to understand what it is. That might be your best your best area, right? So take some time to finalize what is your sweet spot, I would say, and then focus, learn, and evolve on that area, right? I mean, then you will be succeeded for sure.
Yeah.
Knowledge and experience is always going to be helpful, right? So the good thing is nowadays the internet have a lot of things, a lot of even if you want to try out your own project, I mean, there are you definitely have a lot of uh, uh, materials or even free environments where you can play around.
Yeah.
Always watch out for the new trends, always watch out for the new trends and get yourself updated on that, right? And if you feel like that will help you, I mean, I'm not saying try to learn all the technology, but it's okay to try out new technologies or skills if you think that might be a future, right? I
Yeah.
mean, just learn, keep learning. I think that helps.
Yeah, that's a very very good advice. To keep reinventing yourselves and learning things and trying out things, because experimentation is a big part of your career in software industry, and I think I completely agree with Shiaz on that. So yeah. All right, thank you, Shiaz. I think we can open the forum to external questions. By the way, those who are attending the webinar, please make sure that you can ask your questions to our moderators. They would be telling us the questions. So, Shiaz, should we start with that session?
Sure. So the questions will go through the chat, or
I think we have our they would be pasted in the WhatsApp chat. You can check on that. Yeah. Yeah, I can probably ask you
I think
the
that's
question.
good.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I have a question about uh, how do I get mentorship from Archie's? I don't think that's something which you would be able to help. So you know, whoever asked the question, I'm sorry, I do not see the name here. But then, what you can do is you can fill the forms that are available in the chat right now, as well as reach out to our organizers and express your interest. We do, however, have a skill test which you should clear. So, if you clear a skill test and you're able to find, you know, a good time slot to join our program, you can always start your, start your training and mentorship experience at Archie. So, yeah, that's how I think that's the best way to sort of start. I don't know if Tawfiq is here, but would you like to add something to that, Tawfiq?
Absolutely. Thanks, Manu. Let me try to open my. It's a bit dark here, so that's why I didn't open my camera. Let me try to hold on 1 second. Yeah, there you go. It's a bit of dark, so sorry for that.
No problem.
Thanks a lot, Manu and Shiaz, for giving that excellent topic about the CRM, and it's insightful to learn about new things, right? Like there are a few things which we really don't know, and in what direction, how to start it. There is always questions, and that's the basic fundamentals which most of the time we get lost. What to do, how to do, where to start. So myself, yeah, I'm not an expert in CRM, I should say that, but there are people who are experts in CRM who can train about CRM technologies. Um, to the question which was asked, like we have a pretty straightforward what do you call the process. The first thing is that to just complete a skill test, which we have a technical skill test, and then there's a behavioral questions. Once after that is done, we do take care of a assessment calls, like basically what are we need to know the intention of the joining, and we need to see the motivation of the person and the feasibility of the time and etc. So once after that, we have, once it's accepted, there is a the entire duration is a 6 months program. So it's a 3 months. We try to provide a foundation training on pretty much all the software development lifecycle, right from the start of how to think about a requirement of a software, and then how to design something and how to implement using different programming languages, how to use the DevOps. So we try to cover all the areas, not just one area, including project management, because it's really important to know that you need to know all the areas just rather than just coding. Because as Shiaz mentioned earlier, it's just not one role, it's entire software industry. There are so many roles available. So that's something which we need to know. So somebody who does not know anything about programming, you don't need to lose the hope of it. You have things like project management, testers, designers. So there are so many roles out there. So then we try to make specialization by our real world project experience. And with that one, that it lasts 3 months. That's the overall training period, but we will do extended. It's like a community. We try to extend it in terms of like if they need more help and we want to seek them, they are hireable. That's our motto. We want to make the people hireable so that it is not just like, we just finishes the training and it's not just we are done with it. We want to make the people are employed. That's the major vision and goal for us. That being said, that if you have any questions, we have a contact us page. You can just fill out that form, reach out to us. We will try to be, we are pretty much, our entire team takes care of our social media pretty good. So you can ask the questions in any social media platform, etc. So yeah, over to you, Manu. Yep, thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tawfiq. I'm glad that you could sort of elaborate on what options are there. I think there are questions regarding which training programs, roles does Archie's have for software industry? What is Archie's role in providing workforce in the software industry and CRM? And does Archie's have data or machine learning training? So there are a lot of questions about Archie's. We really appreciate the fact that you've asked those questions. However, I think it would be better if you can reach out to uh, one of our team members, and then they will be able to sort of guide you better. Because I can assure you that we have some surprises coming in data and machine learning, but I think it's too early to reveal those secrets right now. So I would like to leave it for a later time. Regarding today's session, one question that I've seen is interesting, and I think Shaz, you can probably answer is, what are some of the technical skills that somebody should have in order to excel in CRM?
Uh, to be very honest, I mean, no technical skills needed. I mean, it's more about understanding of the business, or the willingness to understand the business and process,
Yeah.
right? More than the skills, I would say it's more about the interest. So, yeah, I mean, if you can just try to understand the CRM concept well, I mean, it's not what I have just shown is the core, but that's not just limited to, right? There are more.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, if you really have an interest in understanding that concept, and if you can relate that with a real world scenario, right? That means, yeah, I mean, you can, and if you feel like it is interesting, just go with that, right? It's more about trying to relate that with the real problem. So, I mean, that's because of Tawfiq also was mentioning about the role-based training and all, right? I just want to add it on that, right?
Yeah.
So we have seen that a lot, right? I mean, when we passed out of the college and then we were going there to a job, you might not be able to see anything which you learned in past 5 years or 6 years, right? I mean,
Yeah.
definitely you may have some basic idea, but what you're seeing in an organization is completely different from what you learned, right? So getting a practical experience is always better, or getting an on-the-job training is always will give you the real picture of how an organization would be, what roles would be, what you are expected to do. So yeah, I mean, I would say look into any use case which you are trying to deal with, right? I mean, think about an a CRM perspective there, and that will give you a little more realistic picture than reading something.
I see a question from Esgi. I'm sorry if I butcher your names, but we talked about technical skills, but I think I saw somebody asking about soft skills that you need to have to master CRM.
I would say not specific to CRM, but any any technology or anything related to the IT industry, right? I mean, the soft skill in the sense, I would say, communication. When I say communication, it's not the language which I'm talking about, but can you, when we both are communicating, can you understand what I'm trying to say, or can I mean, while I'm getting a response, I mean, am I getting it right? So it's more about the mode of communication, I would say. And second, like I said, flexibility on the technology. Don't get stuck on your role, or don't get stuck on something. Willingness to learn, and especially in the beginning, early stage of your career, you have to be flexible enough to achieve the opportunities and learn new things, than saying that, oh, I mean, I'm a developer and I don't want to think about a business scenario, right? So that's my view on that.
Sure. There are also questions regarding courses. I think you've already elaborated that. You said that a lot of choices, especially on the internet, and where you can find courses to learn more about CRM. That is a very interesting question. I know that you are somebody who is trained in Salesforce, but can you talk about your competition? Basically, what are the other tools that in the industry that are you mentioned about Microsoft and things like that. So
Sure.
people
So
are asking about the latest CRM tools being used in the industry.
yeah, I'm specialized in Salesforce, and
Mm-hmm.
that's I mean it's not just because of the technology where I'm working with, but
Yeah, yeah.
the world's leading CRM. But definitely there are competitive products which up to the mark as well. I mean, very good in the industry. Like Microsoft Dynamics is one of them. And there are others as small players in the industry as well, like HubSpot and so and so. Each have its own pros and cons, I would
Mm-hmm.
say. Uh, but nowadays, all those CRMs are on cloud, so that's actually good. And some of the CRM tools provide like a blended approach, right? Some partially in cloud and partially on premise. So there are a lot, but I mean I would say these are the main. But the traditional, if you look at any new projects nowadays, right, the traditional ERP systems are getting I mean or it might or CRM systems are getting migrated into the latest ones because of the way how that works and how evolving.
Okay. Okay, I think we can ask one last question, and I think the question is basically Nora was asking, can you describe a typical working week as a CRM administrator? I don't know, Shaz, if you would be able to answer that question, but yeah,
I can definitely because
sure.
I'm seeing these CRM administrators as well, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, sure.
yeah, I mean, and typical working week, that's a tricky question, right? It depends on a lot of factors. It
Yeah,
depends on
yeah.
the company you work. It depends on your project. Most importantly, it depends on your team, right? I mean, your
Yeah.
management and the people around you, right? So, but typically, I would say it's a pretty decent. I mean, because of the question was very specific to CRM or say, CRM admin, right? Administrator, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty decent working. I don't see too hectic scenarios which the CRM administrators have to do. I mean, it's more about the understanding of how the tool would be because as an administrator, regardless of which CRM you use, as an administrator, you are expected to know in and out of all the configurations or
Mm-hmm.
things. And then there is the good thing with the latest technologies, right? I mean, you have a clear definition of each roles.
Yeah.
If you are taking a CRM tool, I mean, the administrator versus the developer have clear boundary between them.
Mm-hmm.
The configurations or drag and drop or settings will be handled by the admin, and the customization such as coding or complicated logics will be handled by the developer. I would say CRM administrator, it's a pretty decent work week. I mean, I don't see too much. I haven't seen too hectic unless there are external factors as the project doesn't have much budget to accommodate enough resources. So then
Yeah.
CRM administrator will be overloaded.
Yeah.
But
So, so I'm just curious because I'm a project manager and my week has a lot of meetings. As a CRM administrator, do you have to sit in a lot of meetings? Is that something which you have to do, or
I mean, again, depends on the projects, right? When if it
okay?
is one more, I mean, they may need an understanding on this, but it's pretty agile, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and even within CRM itself, sometimes we configure in a way that the tickets and the work need to be done will be assigned, and then people will take from there. It's not really necessary to be involved on a lot of meetings. I mean, nowadays, and especially on CRM projects, we have different roles, right? Like the solution architect, technical architect roles, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
well advanced roles. They might be handling more of a meeting perspective and the business analysts more.
I see.
But the developers and administrators will be having comparatively less meetings than others who face the client more.
Sure. Sure. Um, so thank you, Shaz. Unfortunately, at the time, I don't think we'll be able to have more questions. You can surely ask us questions. We would surely reach out to you post the webinar. I think, I would like Tawfiq to sort of speak a little bit about Archie's Academy since, Archie's Academy is hosting today's event. And yeah, and thank you so much. I hope we were a little helpful in making you understand about CRM and the usual processes, and and how you can have a long sustainable career in the industry. So I hope this really helped you. So over to you, Tawfiq.
Thanks a lot, Manu. Thanks a lot, Shiaz. It's really a happy moment for me that people are coming here and trying to explain about your career, how you guys progressed it. Because the thing about for me to explain to the audience right now is that I came from a non-computer science background. Back when I was in my engineering, I was never studied a computer science. I studied electronics. So to come out from electronics background and to start work as a software engineer, there is definitely a knowledge which we need to acquire, and that knowledge for me unfortunately didn't came from a university degree or the things which I studied in my 4-year school in the university. um, the most important thing which I learned was my mentors. I was grateful enough to get few good amount of people who were able to guide me through in what direction which I have to. My previous team lead, previous managers. Luckily for me, I got those things. And and being a person who has been managed a lot of people over the last few years, one thing for sure which I love the most is like training. I love training people. I love to make them see grow. I love to make them getting new achievements and motivated and able to proceed in their career. So that's something which gives me a lot of satisfaction. With that being in mind, we kind of started Archi's Academy a bit more than over a year ago. And now it started from a small, we have been now almost training 12 countries as of now. And we are trying to make growing bigger and bigger. So um, and one thing for sure, like the people who have been joined in one way or another, most of the people looks for motivation. They want to see that somebody is there to get motivated to learn more items. And most of the companies, if you join, you probably see the scenarios that they might join, and after a few months later, they might be quitting because of the lack of motivation which was given by their managers or team lead or the entire company culture. How can we retain, how can a person be professional enough to seek this culture and to make sure that you work for somewhere where you love the most and you do your job? So we try to train not just about a particular language. We try to make sure that how to have a work culture, what's a work in real world looks like. That's the main motivation. So we try to train, as I mentioned earlier, we try to train every single area which is required for a person to be in a software industry. And then you can specialize in one area. That's fine. You can just pick one area. Maybe that's a front-end coding or just be a project manager. That's up to you how you feel like. But you really need to know the entire collaboration between the teams, how to communicate, how to pay respect to the people who are being in a different culture. So there is a lot, because it's the IT industry is one of those industry we have been global. So you will be working with a lot of people, a lot of diversity. So you need to understand the cultural differences between the people as well. So how to manage those, the language barriers, because all this matters when you are actually working. So our trainers are equipped with, basically they have been in the industry for some time, they have been experienced like Manu, or we have so many other trainers as well. So we try to make sure that we extend our knowledge with, being myself, being the CEO, trying to get our how to make sure that the company is able to reach out. I love being a trainer as well, so I spend most of the trainees or to train in software development life cycles, etc. So with that being said, that if you are a person who lacks motivation and you don't know what to do and how to proceed, Archie's Academy is the place you need to be. And please share these messages if your friends or somebody who wants to get started in their career. And that being said, that we have only a couple of minutes, which our scheduled time. I really want to say thanks to everybody who has joined today. And especially, I want to say thanks to Global Youth Network platform. They have tried to get people on board, and they try to get a lot of sharing the our, this webinar. There are so many people in here which I cannot really say one by one, and I look forward to you the next event. We will be hosting events from now on every month, and that would be of a different topics. And the next month would be like about the machine learning, like example Manu was already given some breadcrumbs over there in the earlier. So we will be having a event next coming up in the next month about the machine learning and how the automation works, etc. So looking forward to you guys to join on the next upcoming events, and I wish you guys have a wonderful weekend, and wherever you're, what time zone you are at right now. Manu, you can just wind it up. Over to
Sure,
you.
sure. Thank you, Tawfiq. First of all, I'd like to thank today Shiaz because um, this was more of a last minute arrangement, and I thank you for agreeing to have a session with us. So thank you so much. To all who joined, thank you all for being here with us and trying to ask questions and trying to interact with us. And we are really happy that you're interested in Archie's and what value we bring to the table. So we hope you can join us, and we can work with you guys in the future. And yeah, and to everybody, good good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.